This sudden unexpected occurrence had caused everyone to halt. Those figures of the Hall of Souls contained a dense fear as they looked at the headless corpse. Fresh blood shot out of it while a bloody head fell from the sky and rolled a couple of times on the ground. The expression on the head still retained the dark expression from before his death. This caused many to tremble despite not feeling cold. You? Who are you? This is the territory of the Hall of Souls. That frozen man, whose position seemed to be much higher than the others, glanced at the two figures that had appeared in the air with a frightened expression. He suddenly cried out sternly a moment later. It seemed like he was planning to use this method to swallow the fear within his heart. The limbs of the Hall of Souls have actually extended this far. Huh? The man's and woman's figures gradually solidified in the sky. Surprisingly, they were Xiao Yin and Sun Er, who had broken out of the demonic flame realm. Xiao Yan's eyes glanced at the dozens of black-clothed individuals from the Hall of Souls. A chill was surging within his dark black eyes. The chill that surged within Xiao Yan's eyes caused the man's limbs to turn icy. Even the Do Qi within his body seemed to have solidified at this moment. The other party was able to randomly kill Protector Mo, a 5-star Do Zone. It was likely extremely easy for him to deal with the rest of them. He is too strong, withdraw. The man acted decisively after this thought flashed through his heart. He did not utter anything unnecessary as his body pulled back. He only cried out loud after withdrawing 100 steps. The remaining individuals revealed a different expression after seeing that He-Man turn around and flee. They ignored Commander Lu's group as they turned around and fled like mice. Commander Li quickly sighed in relief after seeing them run. The feeling of surviving a calamity caused the members of his group to feel as though they were about to collapse from exhaustion. How can it be so easy to leave after you have killed so many people? It is not easy to kill someone from the Sky Mansion. Xiao Yan's eyes glanced over those black figures fleeing in random directions within different eyes. He gently pressed his foot against the air beneath him before an invisible ripple spread with lightning-like speed. Puff, puff. After this invisible ripple spread, those dozens of fleeing individuals suddenly stilled, after which their heads flew toward the sky, a pillar of blood accompanying them. Finally, they landed on the ground with throbs. Fresh blood dyed the ground until it appeared extremely bloody. A chill rose into the hearts of Commander Lu's group upon seeing this act. They were unable to see just how Xiao Yan had attacked. Those experts from the Hall of Souls, whose strengths had far surpassed theirs, had all become headless corpses. Elder, thank you for rescuing us. We are from the 3rd large unit of the Outer Alliance of the Sky Mansion Alliance, the Xin unit. We will not forget the favor you have done us by rescuing our lives. Commander Lu was an intelligent person. He swiftly suppressed the fear within his heart and respectfully bowed to the two individuals in the air. Although these two appeared extremely young, this was a world where the strong were honored. The ability to kill an elite Do Zone with ease was enough to address him as an elder.
Ute Alliance.
Xiao Yan felt a little surprised after hearing this person's words. It seemed that the Sky Mansion Alliance had significantly developed during these years. Distribute these medicinal pills. Those who still have a breath left will likely not die. Xiao Yan flicked his finger. A jade bottle landed in the hands of Commander Lu. Commander Lu grabbed it, and his eyes immediately widened. The medicinal pills within the jade bottle were all filled with a dense spirituality. The medicinal fragrance that trickled out of them was something that even the highest tier pill they had come across, a tier 6 medicinal pill, could not compare with. I wonder about the background of this elder. He is actually so generous. Even if all of us were to sell ourselves, our worth would not even compare to one of these medicinal pills. Commander Lu trembled as he held this jade bottle. He hurriedly took out the medicinal pills and distributed them to his seriously injured brothers, after which He led a couple of core members from the unit to the man and woman who had landed from the air in a frightened manner. Tell me about what has happened ever since the demonic flame realm had shut back then. Xiao randomly gave an order after landing. Understood. Commander Lu respectfully replied after hearing this command. He was an intelligent person and knew what he should or should not ask. Hence, after arranging his thoughts, he summarized the big events that he knew had occurred within the Central Plains during the last 2 years. The few of them continued to secretly observe the young man in front of them as they spoke. They vaguely felt as though this person appeared a little familiar for some unknown reason. The Shi clan has vanished? Xiao nodded as he heard about the various events that had occurred across the Central Plains during the last 2 years. Both Xiao and Sun Er's expression drastically changed after Commander Lu mentioned that the Shi clan had mysteriously vanished. That's right. The way the Shi clan disappeared is the same way the Ling clan did. However, such an occurrence has not happened since this occurred 1 year ago. It might be due to the 3 ancient clans forming an alliance, Commander Lu explained. How unexpected. There have been so many changes during these 2 years. Xiao expression was grave as he softly muttered to himself. Within 2 short years, the Sky Mansion and the Hall of Souls had begun an all-out war. The Shi clan had vanished, and the 3 clans had formed an alliance. These earth-shaking events had all gathered together. It was really an extraordinary lively period in time. This elder. Commander Lu's eyes swept around him after Xiao started to ponder the news he had obtained. Commander Lu hesitated for a moment before carefully opening his mouth to say, "There is a branch hall of the Hall of Souls a short distance from here. It is possible for them to detect the death of a protector. Hence, we should hurry up and leave. The Hall of Souls branch hall within the demonic flame plains is very strong. There is even an elite dosheng from the Hun Clan guarding it. Many of the experts from our Sky Mansion Alliance have died to the hands of that dosheng during this 2-year war." "Oh? How many stars is this dosheng?" Xiao lifted his brows and asked upon hearing this information. 1 star. Although Commander Lu did not understand why Xiao had asked this question, he gave an honest reply. An expert of that level merely existed in legends to them. 1 star, huh? Xiao fondled his chin and slightly nodded. Commanded Lu and the others felt a slight joy upon seeing him nod. They thought that had convinced this elder to leave when they were stunned by his next words. "You know where it is, right? Bring me to that branch hall." Everyone became quiet as they looked at the smiling young man in front of them. Commander Lu's lips began to tremble. This Hall of Souls branch hall had been viewed by them as a frightening forbidden ground. Everyone normally kept themselves far from that region. Who had ever thought of going to it? "Let's go." Xiao merely smiled as they remained silent. He placed his hand on Commander Lu's shoulder. Before Commander Lu could speak, space fluctuated and the 3 of them disappeared. The other members of the unit displayed pale faces once those 3 disappeared. Heading to the Hall of Souls branch hall was seeking death. "It is over this time around?" A member of the unit revealed a depressed expression. They had managed to retain their lives after much difficulty, yet they were going to deliver themselves to death now. "What should we do?" "Don't panic. That elder does not appear to be an ordinary person. There is an elite dosheng present in that branch hall. Regardless of how strong that elder is, he is still very young. How can he be a match for that old demon?" But this large group of people faced each other. They finally became dispirited after a discussion. Key. Space itself once again fluctuated while everyone was quiet. 3 figures quickly appeared. It was Xiao and the other 2, who had only been gone for less than 10 minutes. "Commander." Everyone rejoiced after verifying that the 3 of them were alive. They hurriedly swarmed forward. However, Commander Lu merely looked around with a dull expression as everyone swarmed over. No one who had witnessed a legendary old demon doe Sheng randomly turn into mincemeat by a random strike from this young man would be able to remain calm. Commander, is the old demon absent from the branch hall? Commander Liu finally recovered after hearing the slight sounds around him. He shook his head as he suddenly said, "In the future, the Hall of Souls branch hall will cease to exist within the demonic flame plains. The renowned Saint Hun will also disappear." Everyone was startled upon hearing this news before they suddenly recovered. Soon after, disbelief appeared in their eyes. A branch hall belonging to the Hall of Souls had actually ceased to exist within a short couple of minutes? Let's go. Xiao smiled after seeing the comical expressions on these people's faces. He turned around, stepped through empty space, and slowly headed into the distance. Go and find the person in charge of this region once you return. In the future, you will all be D-class members of the Inner Sky Mansion Alliance. Everyone present trembled slightly after hearing the faint voice that spread. The members of the Inner Sky Mansion Alliance were divided into Tian, Di, Xin, and Huang. Even though their contributions this time around would be quite great, they would at the very most become Inner Alliance Huang members. There was a great distance to reach the D class. How could one sentence from this person? "Elder, may we know your name?" Commander Liu was startled. He suddenly knelt down and cried out in a respectful voice, "Tell them that Xiao has asked all of you to find him." A soft laugh was transmitted along with the wind before a voice slowly echoed by everyone's ears. "Xiao Yin." Everyone suddenly lifted their heads. Their eyes were shocked as they stared at the blurry figure who was stepping through the air until the figure vanished. It was a long while later before a voice, which was trembling due to excitement, appeared. He is actually the Junior Alliance Chief. Xiao Yin Ji. The Gu clan has definitely suffered a blow because of the disappearance of the Shi clan. I might have to return and take a look. Xiao Yin looked to the northwestern sky from the top of a green mountain. Sun Er's soft, lovely voice tickled his ear. He felt a little emotional. He naturally understood that Sun Er's 2-year disappearance would have caused a great commotion within the Gu clan, so she ought to make a trip back now that she had escaped. Plus, there was the news of the Shi clan. "Sun Er, I have promised that I will go to the Gu clan to propose marriage. Wait for me." Xiao Yan's hand gently reached into the air in front of him as he clenched, as though he wanted to grab the figure that had disappeared into the distance. He swiftly withdrew his emotions a moment later before his eyes gradually narrowed. He had managed to grasp an understanding of the present situation between the Sky Mansion Alliance and the Hall of Souls during his journey. The fiery hot fights between both parties had far exceeded his expectations. Currently, neither party would rest until the other had perished. The Hall of Souls had destroyed quite a number of Sky Mansion Alliance cities, while the Alliance had destroyed some branch halls. The true upper echelons had managed to hold back, but both parties could still be described as having killed until they were crazy. Of course, Xiao Yin would naturally not object to this situation. The Hall of Souls was a deadly enemy to him, and it was impossible for them to reconcile. He had once thought about the possibility of the current situation, but he had not expected it to arrive so swift and fierce. Deaths and injuries are inevitable when two tigers fight. The Hall of Souls has suffered a great loss this time around. Given their attitudes, it is impossible for them to simply swallow such a loss. But the current alliance not only has ancestor Xiao Chun, it is also secretly protected by the ancestor of the Pill Tower. Regardless of how domineering the chief of the Hall of Souls is, he would not dare to charge into the alliance. Though, there is still the Hun Clan behind the Hall of Souls. With the Hall of Souls being the claws of the Hun Clan, the clan likely does not wish to see the hall be destroyed by the hands of the Sky Mansion Alliance. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. Although he had only recently returned to this world, it was not difficult to make some guesses after gathering some information. Hall of Souls, perhaps it is time to truly fight. Back then, you bathed my Xiao clan in blood and nearly ended my Xiao clan's bloodline. Now, it is time to repay blood with blood. Xiao Yin slowly clenched his fist. A flame was rising within his eyes, but a dark and icy feeling was suddenly exposed. His body moved, and his spatial fluctuation vanished in a strange fashion. Being the headquarters of the Sky Mansion Alliance, the current Falling Star Pavilion had not only expanded many times, there was also an uncountable number of experts within the headquarters. Its AA defense appeared impenetrable. Even an elite Do Shang class individual would have difficulty sneaking in without anyone noticing. As the Sky Mansion Alliance swiftly grew, some of the voices coming from the various factions that had opposed the alliance completely vanished. Additionally, the few larger factions had begun to show signs of merging as various standards were imposed on the alliance. Some disciples had even begun to change the way they addressed themselves. They no longer referred to themselves as members of their own respective sections. Instead, they referred to themselves as members of the Sky Mansion. Through this prolonged integration, these various factions were gradually merging into a single faction, the Sky Mansion. The leaders of the few large factions clearly noticed these changes, but they ended up giving their silent approval since the Alliance and the Hall of Souls were irreconcilable enemies. If any changes within the Alliance caused it to split, these separate entities would definitely become the target of the Hall of Souls' vengeance. At that time, they would likely meet a miserable fate. They only had the ability to fight the Hall of Souls by remaining together. Otherwise, they would just end up dying. The Star Realm had undergone a drastic change compared to 2 years ago. On the many mountains that rose from the ground stood numerous huge buildings. Some powerful auras were vaguely seeping out of these buildings. This area could be considered the core region of the Sky Mansion Alliance within the Star Realm. The number of strong individuals present had reached a terrifying figure. There was an exceptionally majestic hall standing at the top of a mountain in the middle of the Star Realm. Clouds lingered above it, giving it a vast and mighty aura. Many spiritual perceptions continued to sweep around the hall like a dragnet. It was possible to detect even an ant that had barged in with these defenses. The Alliance has exchanged blows with the Hall of Souls a total of 43 times during this month. 3 of them have been large-scale interactions. Although we have destroyed a branch hall, we have also lost quite a number of people. The atmosphere in the hall was solemn as Feng Zunja read a report regarding last month's battles to Yao Lao, who sat in the leader's seat. Yao Lao slowly nodded upon hearing this information. Although his aura had become stronger compared to 2 years ago, his face appeared slightly older. It seemed that the matters of the Alliance had exhausted a great amount of his vitality. These are not big matters, but recently we have gained some information that the Hall of Souls is growing impatient because of this stalemate. Feng Zunja mused for a moment before speaking. Oh! Many of the Alliance's upper echelons immediately shot their eyes over after hearing his words. According to our intelligence, the Hun Clan will dispatch a genuine expert to aid the Hall of Souls in eliminating our Sky Mansion Alliance. Himph, they are really arrogant. The Hall of Souls actually dares to utter such bold words with Elder Xiao Qian and the ancestor from the Pill Tower around. Some low snorts could be heard around the hall after Feng Zunja's voice had reached everyone. The powerful strength that the Sky Mansion Alliance had displayed during these years was extremely impressive. Faced with such strength, even the Hall of Souls had ended up suffering great losses. Some busybodies had even described the Sky Mansion Alliance as the newly born overlord of the Central Plains, unavoidably causing some to become prideful. It is good to be confident. However, it will be no different from seeking death if one is overconfident. Yao Lao glanced at the few who had spoken and commented on the situation in a faint voice. Have we find out who the Hun Clan will dispatch? Feng Zunja licked his lips. He looked at Yao Eliso and nodded. He said, Hunamo Chien. He glanced about the hall as he uttered these words, only to discover that many were a little lost. He could only add, a 6-star Dosheng. It is rumored that he had once participated in the killing of Xiao Xian.
Bang!
The final sentence was like a heavy bomb that caused the hall to tremble. Shock appeared on many faces. The Hun Clan was actually dispatching an old demon of this level. It seemed like they had made up their minds to destroy the Sky Mansion Alliance.
Hun Clan.
A hoarse voice suddenly sounded within the shocked hall. Almost everyone became quiet the moment this voice sounded. Many pairs of eyes shifted to a corner of the hall. A skinny figure was quietly sitting at that spot. His expression was as dull as a zombie. This skinny figure was Xiao Chan. The Xiao clan ancestor Xiao Yin had rescued from the demonic flame illusion back then. Xiao Qin merely sounded out this name with his mouth, after which he returned to being quiet. Only an extremely strong individual could sense that the space around him was vaguely showing signs collapsing, like his heart was experiencing an intense emotional fluctuation. Why would the Hun clan dispatch such an old demon? Aren't they afraid of displeasing the Gu clan and the other 3 clans? Ancestor Huiyun frowned and asked. A 6-star Dosheng. Even though he had fully recovered from his injuries and bad-broken through to the 2nd star of the Dosheng class with the help of some medicinal pills, he still felt a helpless pressure when faced with this level. Currently, these ancient clans are all suspicious of each other. They are afraid that the incident of the Ling clan and the Shi clan will repeat itself. Who has the spare time to worry about the Hun clan? Moreover, the Hun clan seems to be testing the waters. Otherwise, the one who would be coming would not be Hun Qianmo. The first elder of the Pill Tower shook his head. His expression was grave as he said, if this old demon really intends to intervene, it is likely that we can only invite Ancestor to fight. However, if this is the case, the Hall of Souls will only need to send out the Hall of Souls chief, or Old Man Hunamo, to temporarily hold back Elder Xiao Chan. If this is the case, our greatest strengths will be completely restrained. The last remaining person can lead the experts from the Hall of Souls and attack our alliance. We will likely end up in a miserable battle when that time comes. The hall became quiet after hearing the Pill Tower's first Elder's analysis. Although the Sky Mansion Alliance had rapidly developed, they were barely able to fight against the Hall of Souls peak-level experts. However, this equilibrium had been shattered by the Hun clan's grand action. At that time, the little fairy doctor, Qing Lin, and I will join hands and see if we can hold back the chief of the Hall of Souls. Yao Lao revealed an expression of contemplation before speaking a moment later. The first elder of the Pill Tower helplessly shook his head after hearing this reply. Forget about seeing if the 3 of them were able to hold back the 5-star Dosheng chief of the Hall of Souls. Even if they could barely do so, the Hall's elite Doshengs would remain unopposed. Only a Dosheng could hold back a Dosheng. If the Hall of Souls elite Doshengs were allowed to charge in, they would give the Alliance's remaining forces a destructive blow. We would not face this headache if Miss Ziyin was around, a person softly sighed. Ziyin was an extremely helpful, but the ancient Void Dragon's problems hadn't been resolved yet. The 3 great Dragon Kings had escaped after being wounded. Although they were no longer as strong as before, they were still a threat. She had to remain on the Eastern Dragon Island until the 3 islands were completely eliminated. The large hall returned to a depressing silence. Only at this moment did everyone realize that a great storm had been gradually forming above the Alliance. If they were unable to endure this storm, all of their past efforts would be for naught. If it is the chief of the Hall of Souls, the first elder of the Pill Tower hesitated for a moment before he finally clenched his teeth and stood up. Before his words could be uttered, a clear laugh that caused the hearts of everyone present to quiver interrupted him. Leave him to me. Xiao Chen suddenly widened his eyes from the corner of the hall. His emotionless face slowly revealed a pleased smile.